While doing the windshield assessment on Crown Point, the first impression was a very open, rural community with many residential homes. Crown Point itself is more of a quaint and secluded area where they say that everyone knows everyone's business. According to the Neighborhood Scout website, it states, Crown Point is among the best neighborhoods for families in Louisiana. In fact, this neighborhood is more family-friendly than 95.7% of the neighborhoods in the entire state of Louisiana. While driving down the two-road highway that is used to get into the community, the atmosphere feels very fresh, with tall green trees along the roadside. As for Crown Point specifically, the community has a population of about 1,142 people. According to the president of the Homeowners Association, 600 of those residents are registered voters. The time zone for the Lower Marrero community is Central Standard Time, with summer including daylight savings. With the elevation being at only 3 feet, this puts the community at a higher risk for flooding. Also, the Neighborhood Scout website states that 4.4% of the population that is 5 years or older speaks Vietnamese within the home, which is quite interesting. The community that is used for this assessment is Crown Point in the Lower Marrero area, which is located in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. Crown Point and Jean Lafitte are very close in relation, with Jean Lafitte being right over the bridge. Many people refer to both areas as Lafitte. As for Jean Lafitte and Crown Point, history played a major role in the upcoming of these communities. So here is a little background history on how both of these communities came about. According to Go Nola, Jean Lafitte is one of the most famous people in New Orleans history, known as a pirate, a war hero, and the namesake of many New Orleans landmarks. Jean Lafitte was said to be born somewhere between 1776 and 1780, unsure of exactly where. Jean Lafitte reconnected with his brother Pierre in the early 1800s and soon after established a smuggling operation into the New Orleans area. After the War of 1812, Jean Lafitte was known as both a pirate and a criminal, yet his business allowed for many New Orleans people to live comfortably and profit. Jean Lafitte had many people working for him, those people being both free men of color and runaway slaves. These men working for Jean Lafitte were known as the Barratarians. This is because the waterway that was used for smuggling was located in an area called Barrataria, which is now the popular Barrataria Preserve of Jean Lafitte National Historical Park and Preserve. After the American victory in February of 1815, many Barratarians settled in the New Orleans or the Barrataria area, with some of their descendants still living there today. There are many different impressions on the environment when first entering into the Crown Point area. As stated previously, the community is very open and full of greenery, while still being highly residential. The temperature ranges from the highs around 78 degrees Fahrenheit to the lows around 58.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The average temperature throughout the year in Crown Point is around 68.2 degrees Fahrenheit. A big environmental issue within the Crown Point community is flooding, with the average annual precipitation being around 65.2 inches within the Barrataria Preserve. However, according to a park ranger, down on the Lafitte Wetlands System, the national park itself is evolutionarily designed to handle large amounts of wind, water, and even rain. There is a certain type of marsh that is found only in 4 areas around the world, with Jean Lafitte National Park and Preserve being one of the 4. This type of marsh is called floating marsh, which acts like a big sponge. Crown Point and Lafitte have developed all of their houses in a flood-prone area on top of their marshlands and have taken out all of their grasses and protections, thus being a main reason why the communities flood quite often, even with the slightest bit of rain. Another big environmental issue within the Crown Point community is pests and vector control, mainly involving mosquitoes. with one of the biggest local attractions being the Jean Lafitte National Historical Park and Preserve. It is made up of swampland, which constitutes as a great medium for many pests. Within this national park, there is no vector control. This is because there is no insecticide that is specific for just mosquitoes. As annoying as mosquitoes might be to us, they are a major and important food source for many other organisms, such as dragonflies, tadpoles, and certain frogs that live within the preserve. Just because they may be annoying is not a reason to kill them off. Within the community, however, there is a vector control service that does attempt to help with the mosquitoes and other pests. The land that makes up the Barataria Preserve has a bayou known as the Des Familles. This bayou is hundreds of years old and used to connect to the Mississippi River. It worked as an outlet that funneled in fresh nutrients and sediments from the Mississippi River and also helped build the surrounding land. However, after the Great Flood of 1927, the Army Corps of Engineers decided to step in. They built a levee system that completely walled in the Mississippi River. This levee system goes all the way from the port of Baton Rouge down to the mouth of the Mississippi River and has yet to fail.
After speaking with the local residents of Lower Marrero and Crown Point, the conclusion was made that the area is generally safe with little crime. A local resident and the president of the Homeowners Association stated, "We are in our own world and are even comfortable leaving our doors unlocked at night." Of course, he said don't tell anyone, so shh. The area is protected by Jefferson Parish 3rd District Police Department, which also serves the rest of Marrero, Bridge City, Avondale, Wagaman, and Lafitte. The officers stated they have a quick response time, averaging 7 minutes for non-emergency and 2 minutes for emergency. The response time varies depending on the location of the crime and the classification of the crime. In Lower Marrero and Crown Point, the majority of crimes are automobile thefts due to the people of the community leaving their cars unlocked, both during the day and at night. One officer stated, "If people would just lock their cars at night in that area, there would be nothing for us to do there." While there is statistical proof of the response times, the local residents are not as convinced, believing the police take their time coming to Crown Point and other times never coming at all. The people of Lower Marrero and Crown Point feel they are sometimes forgotten about by local authorities and depend on the volunteers of the community to help protect the people. The community also has a volunteer fire station that is run by the local residents. It has been open for about 10 years and is paid for by donations from community members and the government. A local resident that works for the fire station responds to all types of calls and is the only paid employee of the fire station. There are about 30 volunteers that come to help whenever a community member is in need. The community members of Crown Point and Lower Marrero use few means of transportation due to the location of work, school, grocery and drugstores, or any other necessity. Most members of the community use personal cars to get from one destination to the next. Few residents use bikes due to the lack of bike paths on major highways. The children of Crown Point ride to school on a local school bus that is owned and driven by a resident of the community. Since most schools are either in Lafitte or Marrero, this saves the parents time, money, and the worry about the safety of their children. The Jefferson Parish Transit serves the Lower Marrero area and parts of Crown Point, accommodating for mobility devices as well as bikes. The community members of Crown Point can use the West Bank Expressway W2 route.
The Jefferson Parish system of government was established in 1958. The parish operates under a president-council form of government with 7 council members and a parish president, Michael S. Yenny, who are elected for 4-year concurrent terms. The Lower Marrero and Crown Point areas fall entirely within District 1. The councilman in charge of District 1 is the Honorable Ricky J. Template. Both Crown Point and Marrero are unincorporated areas in the parish, meaning they do not have city government, but instead are governed at the parish level. Parish council meetings are open to the public and are generally held twice a month, which allows citizens to participate in the government process. In the recent presidential election, approximately 42% of the 400,000 estimated residents participated in the election, and the parish adopted a $600 million total budget for the 2017 year, which includes a merit-based pay increase for all parish employees. Other large areas of focus of the budget are sewer and drainage improvements and road improvements. Although online sales has hurt the parish general fund in recent years, plans are in motion to enable local mom and pop stores to remain competitive with online retailers. Jefferson Parish Public School is a district on the rise. Graduation rates have risen significantly as well as overall grades of schools within the parish. The parish improved from being ranked 51st in the state in 2011 to ranked 37th in 2014. Jefferson Parish has an unusual distinction of having the highest percentage of students in private schools, with a 38% of students enrolled in non-public schools. There are several schools, both public and private, available for Lower Marrero and Crown Point residents, including the highest-rated middle school and 11th overall ranked school in the state, L.W. Ruppel Academy for Advanced Studies. Another highly rated school in the area is Marrero Academy of Advanced Studies, which is 25th overall ranked school in the state. There is also 4 public elementary, 2 public middle school, and 1 public high schools educating the children of Lower Marrero and Crown Point. There are no universities in Jefferson Parish, although there are several available in the nearby Orleans Parish.
The health status of a community can largely be determined by the accessibility to health and social services in the area. The presence of these services in the community heavily influence the health and lifestyle choices that its members make on a daily basis. Unfortunately, to access healthcare services, the residents of Crown Point and Lower Marrero must drive at least 10 minutes to access the nearest hospital, urgent care facility, and emergency room. This does not help to promote health or prevent disease. The nearest hospital is West Jefferson Medical Center, a not-for-profit hospital that was established in 1956. West Jefferson Hospital provides inpatient, outpatient, and rehabilitative services. The next closest hospital is Ochsner Medical Center, West Bank Campus. This hospital became a part of the Ochsner system in 2006 and has 180 beds. However, it takes at least 15 minutes by car to get from the beginning of Crown Point to West Jefferson Hospital and at least 20 minutes to Ochsner West Bank Hospital. In an emergency, these distances are very concerning. In addition, local EMS response times are far too long if someone were in a true emergency, as explained by a Crown Point resident. The 3 nearest urgent care facilities to residents of Crown Point are at least 10 minutes away. This is not at all convenient nor safe for someone who is ill or needs urgent health care. Other healthcare services in the nearby area include dental clinics, a chiropractic clinic, dialysis center, nursing homes, veterinarians, and pharmacies. The local pharmacy, Majoria Drugs, was established 30 years ago and is located directly adjacent to a well-known franchise pharmacy, Walgreens. A pharmacist at Majoria Drugs stated that his customers are from a mixed demographic and include young families and the elderly from the Crown Point and Lafitte areas. According to the website, Majoria Drugs accepts all insurance plans so that very few customers must pay out of pocket. Although many customers value the fact that the pharmacy is locally owned, its hours of operation are not as convenient as the chain pharmacy next door. Many social services are available to Crown Point and Lower Marrero residents. Some of these services include the New Orleans Family Justice Center and the Family Service of Greater New Orleans, which are both located in downtown New Orleans, as well as the Department of Children and Family Services located at St. Joseph Missionary Baptist Church in Marrero, which gives easy access to services without having to visit a department office. These resources also include Jefferson Council on Aging, Alzheimer's Services for the Crescent City located in Marrero, and the American Legion for veterans located in the Marrero area as well. Also available to residents in this area are the Jefferson Parish Human Services Authority, or JPHSA, Access Pregnancy, Catholic Charities Housing, Gretna Food Bank, Hope Haven Commodity Center, and Women, Infant, Children, or WIC, state agency offices. The main barrier for this community is the distance to these services and access to health care. The community members of Crown Point and Lower Marrero would have to drive at least 15 to 20 minutes to access any of the healthcare services and social services listed. To improve this community's access to healthcare and social services, the parish should look into scheduling a medical bus service to transport these residents to and from these offices.
Crown Point's population includes retired personnel as well as those who provide resources for the community. These residents fish, farm, and work in hospitality and tourism services. While most of the working residents are employed in executive, management, and professional occupations, many have jobs in sales, the food industry, or other service-type jobs. Businesses such as Bayou Barn, Airboat Radio Shack Tours, and Restaurant de Famille provide work for the citizens of Crown Point, as well as generate revenue for the area. Although there are other businesses including a shooting range and ballet studio, the area lacks a department store, grocery store, a pharmacy, and healthcare facilities. This forces the population to travel to Marrero to meet their basic needs. A resident of the community stated that about half of the working population commutes up front, meaning out of Crown Point and toward Marrero to work, while others work within the community. The average household income in Crown Point, Louisiana is nearly $57,000, and the median household income is about $45,000. Jefferson Edge 2020 is Jefferson Parish's economic development plan to promote sustainable job growth and investment. Jefferson Parish Economic Development Commission is an independent arm of Jefferson Parish government that influences the Jefferson Parish economy through the creation of quality jobs, entrepreneurship, and investment in Jefferson Parish. They maintain a business innovation center to attract technology-based startup companies and an innovation loan and technical assistance program to provide economic growth. Since 2011, the unemployment rate has decreased from about 8% to 6%. Because the working population has increased, the economic base is steadily growing.
There are many different outlets for residents of this community to find news updates or just to find out what is happening within the Crown Point and Lower Marrero community itself. Communication is found through newspapers, radio, television, internet, and in person by verbal communication. A few members from the community stated that they received the local newspapers such as the Advocate and the Times-Picayune. These newspapers and other advertisements are displayed at Majoria Drugs, which is a local pharmacy. The local radio stations are the same as those in the New Orleans area. For news, residents can listen to either 99.5 FM WRNO or 870 AM WWL. Both of these stations supply local and national news, weather forecasts, traffic updates, and sports updates. For radio entertainment, this community has various options for music, comedy, or other talk shows. Stations such as B97, Voodoo 104.1, Magic 101.9, and 101.1 WNOE are all available on the normal AM/FM radio. Television stations are also the same as those in the New Orleans area, but it depends on what type of cable service each household has. Local and national news can be found on stations such as WWL, WGNO, WDSU, and WYES. Joe's Cafe and Fraser's Connection are two local restaurants at which residents may not only enjoy meals but also socialize with others in the community. They are popular spots for the locals to meet and communicate. Many residents also receive information from these places, making them more of the gossip centers of this community. These restaurants serve as a location in which horizontal communication is spread. Libraries are also a good tool for communication and resources. The nearest public libraries for the residents of this area are located in Belle Terre, or Lafitte. The Belterre Library is about 15 minutes from the neighborhood of Crown Point and about 10 minutes from those of Lower Marrero. The Lafitte Library is about 10-minute drive from Crown Point and nearly 20 minutes from Lower Marrero. These libraries offer services such as audiovisual books, books by mail, computer classes, and also have talking books and Braille options. These public libraries offer a place for residents within the community to expand their knowledge while also participating in what the community has to offer.
A unique and exceptional recreational opportunity resides within this area, the Barataria Preserve, a part of the Jean Lafitte National Historical Park and Preserve. It is made up of 24,000 acres of marsh, swamp, and hardwood forest and offers an environmental educational center, impressive ranger programs, waterways, and picnic areas. It is home to one of the most extensive walking and hiking trail systems in Louisiana. There are 10 separate walking and hiking trails, 2 of which are handicapped accessible, that total out to about 9 miles. During certain times of the year, the National Preserve allows hunting. This is when the park sees its biggest influx of local residents. A club made up of retirees that have grown up in the area meets every day at the national park. The park ranger discussed how their group is important to the park because it allows for dissemination of park information to other locals. The preserve offers a summer camp for children that is popular to many residents. One of the park rangers explained the Healthy Parks, Healthy People campaign, which is an agency push for the public to view the national parks as areas of health-conscious recreational opportunities, as well as providing education on nature. In preparation for the centennial anniversary of the Park Service, the call to action was established, which includes approximately 20 points. One of these points is the Prescription Parks program. Jean Lafitte has teamed up with Tulane Hospital and other doctors within the state to write prescriptions for patients to utilize the national park system, specifically the Barataria Preserve for its nature walking trails. The preserve also offers a festival each year where various organizations such as Walgreens, hospitals, and clinics that provide health education and screenings. The festival also consists of a 1-mile fun run, local dancers that do a bounce fitness class, and hula hooping. The festival is typically in the fall of each year. Children and their families can often be seen riding bikes, skateboarding, and utilizing the local parks in the neighborhoods. One such park is the Rosethorn Park, located in Crown Point, and has been praised for its docking boat launches. There are also basketball courts and baseball fields. Residents often use the area for local and family picnics, and many residents swim in the Intercoastal Waterway at this park, as well as at the Gleason Park. Not only is fishing often a career choice for many residents in the area, it is often an enjoyed recreational pastime. Although there are many recreational opportunities for residents, there is not a movie theater within the area, and there is still a lack of child indoor activities.
As a group, we thoroughly enjoyed our time spent assessing and exploring the Crown Point and Lower Marrero area. Before driving out to Crown Point, we were all slightly skeptical. Majority of our group had never been to Crown Point, so we looked up some information about the area prior to driving out there and found only a few things to do, such as eating at a local restaurant and going on a swamp tour. The drive to Crown Point area was farther than we expected. While driving, there was a long stretch of road that had no stores or restaurants along it, which made us realize that Crown Point was a far drive from grocery stores, pharmacies, and other resources. On our first day driving into Crown Point, our first impressions were that the region was more open and rural than we expected. We were also very impressed by the beautiful, lush environment and waterways, and the landscape appeared to be untouched by man in many ways. We were very impressed with how well kept the environment was. There was very little litter or garbage seen on the side of roads, and the landscape was kept well groomed. Upon entering the community of Crown Point, there were a variety of homes all next door to one another. There were middle-class homes, trailer parks, and gated homes on a large amount of land, which made up the majority of the homes in the Crown Point area. The community members that we interviewed were very receptive to our questions and were very willing to help us with our assignment. The residents were very knowledgeable of their community assets and took a lot of pride in their community as a whole. The residents spoke about living in their own little world down in Crown Point and would not trade it for anything in the world. The Crown Point region is a very small neighborhood whose members are very close to one another and supportive of their community growth. After exploring Crown Point, we realized that while it is a small area with limited resources, the community as a whole is an area where residents feel safe and have a community bond that many people living in a big city might not have. We all enjoyed working together as a group and learning more about Crown Point. We all feel this assignment was a very positive experience that enriched our knowledge about the community and enhanced our abilities to work as a team, which we can apply to our future nursing careers. Our first nursing diagnosis is inadequate maintenance of wetland protection related to lack of funding and education as evidenced by deterioration of wetlands, building on wetlands, pollution, and natural disasters. Firstly, we would educate community members at homeowners association meetings every 6 months, local schools, and senior centers about the importance of maintaining and supporting national parks and wetlands, ways to help protect the wetlands, and consequences if they are not protected. We would also collaborate with community leaders to lobby at the parish, state, and federal levels for increased funding for protection of the wetlands, and also consult with community members to develop a program for volunteer monthly cleanups throughout the community. Our Healthy People 2020 goal for this nursing diagnosis is to promote health for all through a healthy environment. Our second nursing diagnosis is ineffective communication among emergency services related to untrained volunteers, as evidenced by verbal complaints from the police, fire department, and community members. Firstly, we would advocate for required training for volunteer firemen. We would collaborate with community leaders to require monthly quality improvement meetings among all emergency service members and community members. And we would educate community members on lobbying efforts for funding for equipment and employment of more salary-based firefighters in the community. The Healthy People 2020 goal relating to improving communication between emergency responders is to use health communication strategies and health information technology to improve population health outcomes and health care quality and to achieve health equity. Our third nursing diagnosis is maintenance of recreational opportunities within the community related to health promotion and disease prevention, as evidenced by park rangers, volunteers, and community members cleaning and sustaining the park's walking and hiking trails, giving tours, and hosting summer camps and fall festival. Our first intervention would be to collaborate with the community to continue involvement and participation in park events. We would also promote advertisement to surrounding communities about the preserve and upcoming park events to increase knowledge, attendance, and revenue. And we would also advocate for the community to hold local fundraisers with profits going towards the local recreation and parks. The Healthy People 2020 goal corresponding to the maintenance of many recreational opportunities in the community is to improve health, fitness, and quality of life through daily and physical activity.
Nice ditches. Sitting water for Zika.